Good evening, everyone. This is Melissa Thomas of Florida National News coming to you with the evening news rundown for your Monday, September 7th, 2020. Happy Labor Day to you if you were able to enjoy the day off. And even if you didn't, maybe you're wrapping up your work day so far. So thanks so much, as always, for tuning into the evening news rundown. And for anyone who is interested, we always like to extend an invitation to any business owners, entrepreneurs, or corporations that are interested in advertising with us or sponsoring one of our segments. We have 5 different shows to choose from here at Florida National News. So if you're interested, just shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com to find out more. As always, we'd like to get the evening news rundown started with the latest COVID-19 reports globally here in the United States and in the state of Florida. So globally, the World Health Organization is reporting over 27 million confirmed cases and over 881,000 confirmed deaths. Here in the United States, Johns Hopkins University is reporting nearly 6.3 million confirmed cases and over 189,000 confirmed deaths nationally. Here in the state of Florida, the Department of Health is reporting over 648,000 confirmed cases and over 11,900 confirmed deaths. So we are pretty soon about to breach the 12,000 death mark here in the state of Florida. So now jumping into our world story, Israel is now having to implement some curfews as a result of increasing COVID-19 cases there. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made the announcement over the weekend after meeting with several decision makers and government officials and powerful religious politicians. They are deciding to impose overnight curfews on some 40 cities and towns that have been hit hard by COVID-19 there. The government has been forced to take action after an outbreak that has claimed more than 1,000 lives and remains at record levels of new infections. Now, the curfews will go into effect today at 7 p.m. local time there and will be in effect until 5 a.m. local time there. It's not known how long the curfew will remain in place. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu backed away from reported calls for full lockdowns, though, after an uproar by powerful religious politicians. So for now, it's just going to be the curfew in those particular cities and towns that have been affected by the outbreak. Now, jumping here to the United States, we've got cases rising in 22 US states as it relates to COVID-19. So we continue to exhort you guys to stay safe. Now, here in the US, particularly as it relates to Labor Day, we've seen the trend between Memorial Day in terms of the increase in cases when everyone decided to head out and gather for Memorial Day. We saw the trend again for the July 4th weekend. So we're starting to see it again for the Labor Day holiday weekend. Now, in several different states, originally, we started seeing a rise in cases in Hawaii, Illinois, and South Dakota as far back as 3 weeks ago. And according to analysis comparing cases between the 2-week period of August 8th to 22nd and the past 2 weeks, reports are showing that South Dakota has had the biggest increase over the past 2 weeks, clocking in at over 126%, which they're now reporting over 3,700 new cases. And of course, in that area, particularly South Dakota, health officials, you guys heard us talk about this, the motorcycle rally that took place in Sturgis, South Dakota back in August. Cases are also rising rapidly in Iowa with 13,600 new infections in the past 2 weeks, and in the state of North Dakota with 3,600 new cases in the same period. Now, interestingly, the usual suspects, the three most populous states, Texas, California, and Florida, are seeing a decrease in new infections, still having large numbers of new cases, but the number of new cases is starting to go down in those 3 major states. In California, cases fell by 39,000 over the past 2 weeks compared with the prior 2 weeks, compared to a 37,000 case increase in those 22 states that are now under the microscope. Now, while cases nationally have dropped from a peak in July, the U.S. Went into the Labor Day weekend with an average of 44,000 new cases per day, which is double the number heading into Memorial Day weekend. So we still need to continue to be careful. Many health experts partly blame the July spike on social gatherings from the Memorial Day holiday. And again, guys, you always hear us here at Florida National News tell you, continue to guard your hands, wash them, sanitize them, glove them if you need to, wear your mask, and practice safe social distancing until we're out of the woods, COVID-19 is still here and is still around. So continue to be careful and keep your family safe as well. Now, jumping here to the state of Florida, another high school is having to close temporarily. Olympia High School is having to close for 2 weeks due to confirmed COVID-19 cases. So again, we continue to exhort you guys to be careful. Now, OCPS, they have chosen to temporarily close Olympia High School, quote, out of an abundance of caution after several positive COVID-19 cases have been confirmed and connected through the Florida Department of Health contact tracing. School officials said that the campus will close from Tuesday, September 8th, all the way to Friday, September 18th, meaning the school will reopen on Monday, September 21st. During that time, all students will shift to digital learning through the Launch Ed at Home program. In a news release that went out yesterday, officials said, quote, there are 156 students and staff that have been identified as having direct contact with the 6 individuals who tested positive and 1 pending. According to the Florida Department of Health, these cases are a result of community spread and not spread at the school. Now, health officials will be offering a free drive-through COVID-19 testing in the parking lot of Olympia High School through a mobile testing unit. But as a quick caveat here, the mobile testing site that's going to be in that parking lot will be dedicated specifically to the students and staff at Olympia High School who need to confirm whether or not they contracted the virus or not. So specifically for the folks at the school. In the meantime, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to come back with some more stories for you. Stay tuned and thank you again for tuning in.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown. And in our next story, the U.S. Census is forced to go on pause as of right now out of safety precautions. They have been given a restraining order to halt their winding down process. Now, this is a bit of unfortunate news for the folks running the U.S. Census. Their original plan was to wind down and be done with the U.S. Census information taking by the end of September. However, U.S. District Judge Lucy Koh in San Jose, California, issued a temporary restraining order late Saturday against the Census Bureau and the Commerce Department, which oversees the agency. The order stops the Census Bureau from their winding down operations until a court hearing is held on September 17th. So they're going to have to wait until that. Now, of course, once a decade U.S. Census counts every resident, and it helps determine how $1.5 trillion in federal funding is distributed and how many congressional seats each state gets in a process known as apportionment, for those who are still perhaps wondering why the U.S. Census is so important and why you should participate. Now, the temporary restraining order was requested by a coalition of cities, counties, and civil rights groups that had sued the Census Bureau, demanding it restore its previous plan for finishing the census at the end of October, instead of using a revised plan to end its operations at the end of September. Now, the coalition had argued that the earlier deadline would cause the Census Bureau to overlook minority communities in the census, which would lead to an inaccurate count. Now, because of the pandemic, the Census Bureau pushed back ending the count from the end of July to the end of October and had asked Congress to extend the deadline for turning in the apportionment numbers from December, as required by law, into next spring. So they were asking to report their apportionment numbers to next spring because of the COVID-19 pandemic, just helping you guys kind of follow along with all this. This is a lot. The Senate failed to take up the request, though. The Bureau was forced to create a revised schedule that had the census ending in September, according to the agency. Now, the revised plan would have the Bureau handing in the apportionment numbers at the end of December, of course, under the control of the Trump administration, no matter who wins the election in November. Now, in her order, Judge Koh wrote that previous court cases had concluded that it's in the public interest that Congress be fairly apportioned and that the federal funds be distributed using an accurate census. In a message emailed to regional offices and headquarters late Saturday, the Census Bureau said that that the agency and the Commerce Department, quotes, are obligated to comply with the court's order and are taking immediate steps to do so. Further guidance would be provided later, they said. So as of Saturday, more than 86% of households have been counted in the US Census. More than 65% of those households were counted from self-responses online, by mail, or by telephone, and 21% of households were counted by census takers who went to households that hadn't yet answered the questionnaire. You guys likely saw the commercials with the folks with the masks on and the clipboards giving you the heads up that census takers were going to be out knocking on doors, basically at the beginning of this month and as August started to wind down. Now, some census takers have been laid off and operations wound down as an 85% of households in the area have been counted in what is known as the closeout phase. Starting September 11th, it will be up to the supervisors to wind down operations in an area, even if it hasn't reached the 85% threshold. And Associate Director Fontenot in court papers said, quote, the Census Bureau is confident that it can achieve a complete and accurate census and report apportionment counts. So we will keep you guys posted on that. And in a quick update here in the state of Florida, President Trump, as he continues his re-election campaign for president, he will be making a stop here in Florida in Jupiter. So you guys, for anyone that's following the campaign, he will be making his stop in Jupiter, Florida on Tuesday to remind voters there of his conservation and environmental protection efforts in the Everglades region. He will also, in addition to stopping in Florida, he will also be stopping in North Carolina. Now, for the federal budget year beginning October 1st, the White House said Trump asked Congress for $250 million in annual funding to accelerate construction of infrastructure for the Everglades as part of the South Florida ecosystem restoration. The project aims to improve the Everglades by enhancing regional water storage capacity and reducing harmful discharges from Lake Okeechobee. We'll continue to keep you guys apprised of all of those things. Be sure to stay tuned with us here at Florida National News for all of the awesome updates. In the meantime, guys, we're going to take another quick commercial break and we're going to come back with your business and sports stories. Stay tuned.
I'm not picking it up. You pick it up.
I'm not picking it up.
Well, somebody's got to pick it up.
I'll pick it up. They're clean. 'Cause my hand is clean. Oh yeah, I'm Charmin clean. That's how I know they're clean.
Charmin Ultra Strong is woven like a washcloth and just cleans better.
Yeah, I'm Charmin clean.
The kid does have a point.
My hand is clean.
Enjoy the go with Charmin. And for an extra clean finish, try Charmin Flushable Wipes.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown. A bit of unfortunate business news. SeaWorld is the next theme park to permanently lay off a lot of its workforce. Now, they did not give the number of employees that would be laid off compared to what we heard with Universal Resort Orlando. However, they do plan to lay off a lot of its employees, particularly those who are already furloughed as a result of COVID-19. They were able to bring back a lot of employees and a lot of ambassadors, and they had hoped to bring back everyone, according to a SeaWorld spokesperson on Fox to Fox Business in a statement. But they were not quite able to successfully do that. They said, quote, SeaWorld has determined that it must transition certain park and corporate personnel from a furloughed status to a permanent layoff. While we were able to bring thousands of furloughed ambassadors back to work and hope to bring back everyone, the current environment requires us to set up the company for long-term success. Now, the filing doesn't state that. The filing does note that SeaWorld will spend between $2.5 million and $3 million related to employee severance costs. So apparently some folks will be going away with some severance pay. The spokesperson added, quote, we deeply appreciate the hard work and dedication of our ambassadors to our company's shared mission, values, and goals. Over our 60-year history, our parks have inspired millions of guests to love, protect, and care for our planet's animals and their habitats. We are sorry to have to part ways with any team members in this difficult moment, but their abiding commitment to our guests, fellow ambassadors, and animals is recognized and made a lasting impact. Now, all SeaWorld employees impacted will be directly notified this week by mail and will be given information regarding support available to them. Now, all ambassadors in good standing affected by this decision can apply for future available positions at any of SeaWorld's theme parks, and impacted full-time and salaried ambassadors will be given up to 4 weeks of severance pay to assist in their transition. Now, back when they had to close down, SeaWorld had furloughed 90% of its workforce back in April due to the spread of COVID-19 in their efforts to limit the spread as well. The company began reopening its theme parks at a limited capacity starting back on June 6th. 7 of SeaWorld's theme parks have reopened, including the company's Aquatica Park in Texas, followed by all 5 Florida parks on June 11th. Its SeaWorld Park in Texas on June 19th, and its Sesame Place Park in Pennsylvania, which reopened its gates back on July 24th. Now, jumping into our sports story, this one is a bit unusual, but is also a lesson in making sure you are as careful as possible, even if you are mad about whatever is going on with whatever game you are playing. Mr. Djokovic, who was playing in the US Open, was actually the #1 favored player to win. Like, everyone was expecting Djokovic to win. However, in a recent game, he was heading off the court and he angrily knocked the tennis ball behind him towards the court. And unfortunately, the line judge got hit in the neck with the stray tennis ball. So as a result of that, the ruling was that he is now officially ejected from the US Open. Bit of unfortunate news for him, because not only did he lose the ability to continue the competition, but he also had to forfeit the $250,000 that he had already accrued over the course of the different matches that he had won over the course of the US Open. So unfortunately for him, not only is he ejected from the match, but he lost all of the money that he had accrued. So there you go. Djokovic now faces a $10,000 fine on top of having to forfeit the $250,000. He has to pay the $10,000 fine for the incident. And, Djokovic's intent was taken into consideration when it came to the fine. Apparently, the fine could have been a lot higher. He did apologize to the judge that got hit, and he said he didn't mean to cause any harm, but the ruling to eject him was based on the rules of the game, which is whether you intentionally aim to knock a ball to hit somebody to cause harm, or even if you recklessly hit a ball and it ends up causing harm. And in his case, it was a matter of him recklessly hitting the ball to cause harm. So for those following the US Open, Djokovic is now officially out of there. So continue to follow that. And of course, our lovely Casey Hudson will be back tomorrow night to give you guys all of the juicy sports details with the FNN Sports Take. In the meantime, though, we're going to take a final commercial break and then come back with a couple of entertainment stories for you. Stay tuned.
You need time to stand still or get up and go. You need to unplug or to reconnect with those who matter most. You need to kick back, to dive in, to have your moment in the sun. You need a palace to lift your spirits, to taste the finer things. You need room to feed your soul, to remember why you travel. You need Lowe's. The legendary Lowe's Don Cesar Hotel, St. Pete Beach. The room you need.
All right, guys, welcome back to the evening news rundown as we wrap up with the entertainment stories for you. So story number 1, Queen Elizabeth's country estate is now going to open up to host drive-in movies. Very interesting. So this is the beautiful estate, for those who may be curious about what's going on there, called the Sandringham Estates. This is the country retreat for Queen Elizabeth II, and they will be hosting drive-in movies beginning September 25th, featuring a slate of popular and award-winning films shown on a state-of-the-art LED screen. The films include Sam Mendes' 1917, that will begin the lineup, followed by Rocket Man. Screenings on September 26th will include Toy Story, The Greatest Showman, and Bohemian Rhapsody. The following day, Moana, Grease, and A Star is Born will be showed. Ticket prices are starting at £32.50. I believe it's cents. I could be wrong. But with the option of paying an extra $7.50 or £7.50 to add chairs and tables to the side of one's vehicle, along with popcorn. Attendees will park their vehicles in designated areas within Sandringham Country Park and hear the film via an audio transmitter in their car, while concessions will include alcoholic beverages, for those who like to drink it up, alcoholic beverages, popcorn, soda, and snacks. And rotated food vendors will service each film. Now, the website for the estate offers COVID-19 guidelines, of course, regularly updated with safety measures in compliance with the British government. Now, each car will be given space to socially distance from the next vehicle, allowing attendees to sit outside of their cars to watch the film, of course, paying extra for the table and extra chairs. Now, back since 1862, Sandringham has been the private home of 4 generations of British monarchs. So the retreat regularly holds educational and entertaining events such as garden tours, apple picking, and a Christmas craft fair. But of course, due to COVID-19, they have had to pivot as well. Now, in our final entertainment story, for those who may have been curious about what's going on with Tenet, you guys heard us talk last week about the one summer blockbuster that we did have that kind of became a fall one almost. But they opened overseas first, but as of this weekend, it officially opened here in the United States and in Canada. So congrats to Warner Brothers and Christopher Nolan, the director. Here in the United States and Canada, they tallied a $20.2 million box office opening in theaters. And this is kind of the litmus test of how COVID-19 is going to affect future movie openings, particularly here in the United States. Of course, last week, the film enjoyed a much stronger opening overseas in China. In China, it debuted there with a $30 million box office opening from Friday to Monday that last weekend. Now, fortunately, the movie did exceed expectations. So the global tally is a whopping $146.2 million. The total overseas release is $126 million, but now combined with the domestic and Canadian openings, $146.2 million. So again, congrats to Warner Brothers Entertainment, director Christopher Nolan, and all the awesome actors involved, as you saw there in the thumbnail, Robert Pattinson, gotta make sure I get his name right, and John David Washington, of course, the 2 stars of the film. And hey, if you are willing and open to go ahead and catch that film in theaters, you certainly can, depending on where you are. Just check your local theaters for box office showtimes. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That does it for us here at the Evening News Rundown. If you haven't yet, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. You'll find us at Florida National News on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And on YouTube, don't only just click the subscribe button, also click the little bell icon to receive all of our notifications for all of our shows. And again, as a reminder to any business owners or companies that are interested in advertising with us or sponsoring one of our shows, just shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com to find out more. We'd love to get started and have that conversation with you. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your afternoon and a great rest of your Labor Day. Take care.